Good morning, students. Good morning out there. Today we're going to be making sweet scones. That's a very simple recipe. Just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients. And I will be posting the recipe below. By the way, don't forget to subscribe and to like this video, okay? All right, let's see what, I'm going to share my board now with you. First step is we need 2.5 cups of flour. Now notice I'm not being too precise here. I'm just scooping flour. This is a 1/2 cup, by the way. So that's 1.5. That's 2 and 2.5. Next thing we need is a tablespoon of baking powder. Basically getting all our dry ingredients together. Baking powder. Next thing we need is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And now we're going to mix that up. The next thing you want is cold butter. Mine's in the refrigerator. I'm going to go grab it. The recipe calls for unsalted butter, which I have. If you don't have unsalted, I would just not add the 1/2 teaspoon of salt to this recipe. Now you want the butter cold because what you're going to do is you're going to basically cut it. I don't have a pastry knife, but pastry knives are a little bit overrated. You can just chop this up with a spoon or knife. And then once I have it sliced like that, my hands are clean, I've washed them. I'm just gonna pinch the butter into little pea-sized pieces, if you can. Might be a little bit bigger than pea-size. Essentially what you want is you want this butter to stay in little pieces when it's cooking. So it provides these nice little pockets of flavor in the scone. Now this recipe I got off of the Simple Sweets scone recipes at food.com. I was reading the comments. One person said, this reminds me of Granny's back in Ireland. And they gave it pretty good marks. So I think scones are from the British Isles. And so if those people are giving this recipe high marks, I think it's a pretty good recipe. By the way, I say those people. I did Ancestry.com, and it turns out I'm over 50% Irish, or whatever. It could be a little bit of Scottish, maybe a little bit of British, I don't know. But I kind of knew my dad was Irish, go figure, from a name like Malloy, but I was a little surprised that he was virtually 100%. My mom's side, a little more mixed. Some Native American, Spanish, hence the Mexican origin from the immigration of my mom's family. All right, kind of got it pretty good. Just kind of mix it around. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm picking up the butter with some flour, and when I do that, it provides me enough flour that it doesn't stick to my hands, and I can just kind of I could twist it or pinch it and roll it through my fingers, and it kind of makes the pieces smaller. It's a very simple recipe. I think I said that. It's supposed to be ready in 30 minutes. It might take a little longer because I forgot to preheat the oven. So it's warming up now. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the sugar. Now, you're gonna put a 1/4 cup of sugar, which I don't really have a 1/4 cup handy, so I'm just gonna use this 1/2 cup, fill it up halfway. Be a little generous. Get our sugar in there. Toss it to mix. Next, we're gonna add some milk. Grab that from the fridge. And we're gonna add 2/3 a cup of milk. And I'm gonna get down here so I can see eye level where 2/3 is. Boom. It calls for a wooden spoon. I don't know why wooden, but at this point in time, we're gonna stir it a little bit with a wooden spoon. Basically, you don't want to stir it too much. You don't want to use a mixer on this, I don't think. I think this is a good mix by hand recipe. Scones are pretty dense pastries, right? And the more you mix it, the denser it's going to be. So we don't want to overdo it. Keep it nice and airy. Keep that butter in little pieces so that it can provide that texture and also flavor pockets, basically in the scone. So next it says to put on a floured surface. Got my cutting board here, so my counters are white, so if I do this on the counter, it would be hard to know if I actually clean it. So right now it feels a little dry. I think that's okay at this point in time. We can always add more milk rather. We're just gonna try to get this into a ball. What I might do, since it is a little dry, make a little reservoir, add a little milk. I'm not gonna add too much. I don't want to get in that perpetual state of too dry, too wet, too dry, too wet. You're kind of going back and forth. We're gonna add some blueberries to this today. This is gonna be blueberry ginger scones. So the blueberries I'm gonna add are from Trader Joe's. They're wild dried blueberries, so they're kind of hard. But what I've done is I've put those into warm water here. So I'm just, by doing that, they're reconstituting themselves, and they'll be a little softer, a little bit more plump. And that will provide some moisture to this area over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those now. Got a little strainer over here. I've got a 1/2 cup of blueberries, but basically. So It should help with the dryness. Once again, you don't want to mix it too much, but you definitely want to get those blueberries into every bite. That's pretty good. The next thing we're going to add is the ginger. Now, there's a couple different ways to add ginger. I mean, of course, there's fresh ginger. I've never tried that. There's candied ginger. I have tried that. It comes in little pieces about the size of a sugar cube, and there's quite a lot of sugar in it. You can find that in the bulk section usually. And then I have from Trader Joe's, once again, frozen ginger. So I picked these up. I was making a paella and I wanted garlic, and they sell garlic like this. And I accidentally bought ginger, so this is a good chance to use some of these. I'm gonna go ahead and add 4 of these little cubes. Now, what I should have done is probably pull these out a little bit earlier. They're a little bit rock hard right now. So now we could smash it. Didn't take long, but ideally you want to pull those out and just let them sit on the counter for about 10 minutes. Okay, once again, we're going to try to get this new ingredient, this ginger, distributed throughout the scone mixture by punching it through it. Provides a little more moisture to our dough, which is okay because we're doing okay in that department. Hey, come here, little blueberry. Really want to make sure that this ginger is mixed up. You don't want to get a full mouth of ginger. It's pretty strong spice. We're going to call that good. A little more flour down here for the final process, which is to shape the scones. The shape of the scone is like a wedge piece, basically. It's like a pizza slice, basically, but there is a, basically the way I like to do it, and I've seen in other scones, is the round shape that you're getting here is going to have a dome in the middle. So what that does is when you get a scone, the wide piece is going to be a little flatter, and then you're going to kind of get a little bit fatter towards the skinnier side. So I would call it a scone shape. I mean, I haven't seen anything else that has that. So once you get it wide enough to where you're comfortable with that size, I'm pretty comfortable with that size, and then you want to cut it. And the best way to cut scones really is with a pizza cutter. You cut it in fours. Now, once you have it in a force, what I like to do is separate the quarters. And the reason is so that they don't, when you cut the eighths, it's not pushing the pieces together, because they will stick together sometimes. And that'll happen with pizza too. The cheese of the pizza will basically connect it back to that other piece that you don't want. All right, now we got 8 pieces. Put these on a pan, get ready to cook them. Wash my hands real quick. I got a cooking sheet with some parchment paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these head to toe, basically. And there's 4 in each row because we have 8, and we have 2 rows. So they have plenty of space to rise and cook on all sides. I think I mentioned I'm cooking this on convection. What convection does is basically it moves air around, so want to leave the room on the cooking sheet between the scones so that they can cook on all sides evenly. All right, we're almost there. The oven has to preheat to 425. We're at 416 right now, so we'll give it a couple minutes. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and ask in the comment section. Get rid of this. If you're wondering what the music is today, I'm playing some Mozart. Nice cooking music, right? Hopefully not too loud. Hopefully you can hear me perfectly. The reason I like scones is they're not too sweet. I don't feel too guilty about eating scones. Oh, there's the oven. We're gonna stick these on the middle shelf for 12 minutes. So they're not too sweet. They're you can make them quick. It's one of the main things I like. Is they are a pretty easy recipe. Next to my granola recipe, probably the easiest in the kitchen, especially for breakfast. The other thing I like is you can put whatever you want inside of them. If you want to, at that stage where I put the blueberries and the ginger, you can put chocolate chips. You could put another dried fruit other than blueberries. You could put all kinds of stuff. It's unlimited. Nuts. In fact, the ones that I need to make here pretty soon, which are not as healthy, are my maple oat nut scones. Now, back in the day, Starbucks used to have a maple oat nut scone on the menu, and that was my go-to. So check it out. We're going to have a little bit of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the record, and we'll come back when it's ready. Okay, 12 minutes later, we have these beautiful scones. They look amazing. That's how easy it is. Okay, make some scones.